Yo, I'm Bob. Into Star Wars, happen to be totally blind since birth. Talking about episode 1 of The Acolyte on Disney Plus. This one's called Lost Found. It premiered on June 4th, a few weeks ago now as I filmed this video, in 2024. The first 3 episodes have aired. I'm sorry I'm late on these episode reviews. I've been trying to film a lot of stuff, gameplay videos, unboxings, things like that. So there are going to be spoilers ahead, potentially for the first 3 episodes. So if you haven't watched them, I advise you to do that. However, if you don't mind spoilers, that's fine too. You go ahead and do you. That being said, jumping right in, and you were warned. So before the show even premiered, long before the show premiered, I was thinking we were going to get something extremely steeped in the dark side of the Force, mostly focusing on the antagonists. I wasn't sure what we were in for. Having read the Darth Bane trilogy by Drew Karpyshyn, having read Darth Plagueis by James Luceno, EU novels quite a few years ago now. I've actually reread them quite a few times. I was wondering if we might get something along those lines, where the Jedi don't necessarily take center stage all the time. However, they do appear to be chewing a lot of scenery in this particular live action series. So I mean, it's not as steeped in the dark side as I would like, but that doesn't detract from me having a pretty decent time with the show. I wish we could get a bit more of events from the perspective of our antagonists. We've only gotten 3 episodes so far, so maybe we'll get some of that. I feel like they could do a bit more with the dark side than they are. I know that when you talk about the dark side of the Force, you have to, I guess, somehow bring Jedi into it. Jedi were in the Bane trilogy. Jedi were in Darth Plagueis. I haven't read the Lost Tribe of the Sith short stories focused on in the EU yet. I plan on that eventually, but I would imagine there might be a Jedi or two in those. I like the opening scene. I like the opening crawl. I think, really, before I get into the episode review, I got to mention the audio description narration tracks. Nicole Zanzarella is back narrating the tracks for Disney Plus. She has narrated Obi-Wan Kenobi. She has narrated The Mandalorian. And she's narrated Ahsoka, so it's good to listen to her describing the actions of the characters as the episodes progress. So we are let in on the fact that the show takes place 100 years before the rise of the Empire, 132 years before the Battle of Yavin, actually. So, and I've read the first phase of the High Republic books. You don't have to read the books to know what's going on in the show. Just more Star Wars content out there. I like them okay. And yeah, apparently it's a time of peace. Never mind the fact that, the Jedi have dealt with the Nihil by now. It's a group of terrorist pirates who are very mouthy and on drugs most of the time. The opening crawl says that, there have been centuries of peace with no war. So I guess whoever wrote that opening crawl must be very biased toward the Republic. We're not going to talk about the Nihil. They happened, but we want to focus on peace and stuff. The Nihil, we don't talk about the Nihil because they did unspeakable things to Jedi with Lovecraftian monsters called the Nameless. But I still like the opening crawl, though. It made me laugh when they narrated that, yeah, there was no war, just peace. Nothing bad has happened. We've had nothing but peace for a while. I cracked up because it made me think of, I think history being messed with being edited. I know that's not the case. Maybe the Nihil weren't really considered a galaxy spanning threat. I'm not necessarily intimidated by these characters either. I know they're supposed to impress me. I like their leader, the Eye of the Nile. He's pretty cool, but the rest of them I don't really take seriously. They're just pirates on drugs, and they're loud, they're mouthy. But I was impressed with the character of May when we're introduced to her in the opening scene of the episode. I love the fight scene. You have Amandla Stenberg playing May, and you've got her going after Jedi Master Indara. You don't know what the heck is going on. You don't know what her beef is with Indara. You just know that she is out for revenge. And she's I think, kind of a lost soul. I think when you have someone on the dark side, usually someone who's been duped. She is bent on ending this character. Now, I found out before the show even aired that we were going to be seeing Stenberg playing two different characters. So, I mean, I didn't go looking for spoilers. They kind of found me. I feel like this was leaked at some point before the show started. So I kind of knew what I was getting into. I would have really been confused after that opening scene and, all the fight scene there at the beginning of the episode. I love the fight scene because you get to see a lot of hand-to-hand combat. I know some fans are tired of lightsabers. So, hey, we didn't really get to see a Jedi wielding a lightsaber here. They just kind of did the whole hand-to-hand combat thing. I wish the audio description track, the narration script had a bit more time to describe a lot of the different moves that were being used. I know that May had a character in a neck hold. She was just kind of bashing people around in that bar as the episode began, as she was out to take down Indara. And so you've got the fight ultimately ending with May using Andara's need to keep a character safe. She uses that need against her. We've seen dark side practitioners use this against Jedi time and time again, and here, May is no exception. I like that she uses daggers. She just has a seemingly endless supply of them, and can't wait to get the action figure in the vintage collection because she's got I think 2 daggers. You can also display her with or without the mask, and I like that we see her masked at first when she comes on screen. So it kind of adds a bit to the mystery as to who she is. But yeah, I mean, it ultimately ends with Indara giving her life to save the barkeep. And just a really, I think, fast-paced opening, which I like. I think when you're writing a Star Wars show, you have to include a pretty good bit of action. I mean, I don't need it, but it sure is fun to watch in my own way, since they've started to add audio description to this stuff over the past, 10, 11 years or so. So when it comes to May's fate, I really hope that she isn't ultimately redeemed at the end of this show. We've had a lot of redemptions in terms of dark side characters lately in Star Wars, and I'm kind of hoping that May chooses to stay dark. I really like it when the good guys don't always win the day. As I said, only 3 episodes have aired as I'm filming this video, so at this point in time, as I'm filming this, I don't know what the heck's going to happen to her. But I like that she's starting the show out having a beef with the Jedi. and we don't really know. We didn't really know, rather, when the episode began, what exactly happened as to why she's so angry with them. I remember wanting to see her master right away because you've got the show called The Acolyte, and right away I'm thinking, all right, yeah, Indara has a point. Who did train you? Are we going to be seeing this character right away? How much time are we going to be spending with these antagonists? But right after the opening teaser, we get to see May's twin sister Osha, and I like how neither one knows that the other one is alive. They're both doing their own things. Um, I of course already knew that May had a twin sister. It was theorized that she had a twin sister by fans. And if you're into Star Wars, you're kind of going to get stuff spoiled for you, whether or not you want it to. Most of the time, though, people tend to um, they tend to spoil stuff with pictures. So not a lot of alt text is added to images, so I'm pretty much immune to it most of the time. This time, however, I did find out about the whole twins thing. It didn't really bother me because, I mean, we've seen good twin versus bad twin before in Star Wars. You had Jaina Solo going up against Darth Kaitis in the expanded universe timeline. So, I mean, it's not necessarily new to me. Um, you've got Osha waking up, and she is in the wrong place at the wrong time. She's just trying to do her job as a mechanic, helping the Trade Federation out, trying to fix their shield generator. Everything goes to hell, but she winds up saving the day. I don't remember whether or not I knew she was a former Jedi before the show. I feel like maybe that came as a surprise to me. So I like that the show begins with not answering all of our questions, but I still wish the whole twin thing hadn't been leaked, because that would have been interesting to have seen this character thinking it was the same character. She just kind of wakes up with a jerk um, right after the opening teaser. You just see her kind of doing her job. Uh, I wish I had gone into this not knowing what the heck was going on, because I probably would have thought, well, what the heck is wrong with this character? You don't remember where you were? Are you being possessed by somebody? What the heck kind of dark side stuff's going on here? But no, it's just, Osha, she's in the wrong place at the wrong time. You've got I keep wanting to call him Yurd instead of Yord. That's how my screen reader pronounces it. You've got Yord Fandar and his Padawan showing up, and they think that Osha has murdered a Jedi. She was a former Jedi. And I like how she doesn't let her anger get the best of her. She's just like, all right, I'll go with you guys to the prison transport, but you're making a mistake. I didn't do anything. It does make sense that Jedi don't really care about gathering evidence. You tell certain Jedi, well, this character did something wrong, or there is no Camino. They're not going to ask questions about it. Sometimes Jedi just go strictly by the book, and they don't really tend to think about that. I think some Jedi don't tend to want to ask questions, and you're just like, yeah, we're taking you in. Yord, Bob, don't call him Yurd. Yeah, she's just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and she goes with him to the prison transport. I like the scene at the Jedi Temple where you have Jedi Master Soul teaching the younglings, and he asks more than one of them, well, when you close your eyes, what do you see regarding the Force? And to compare it to balance in life, and you have one youngling comparing it to fire. I like how this show is kind of getting into that the Force, it's kind of different to more than one individual. Reminds me of the old story about, the blind people and the elephant. You got a bunch of blind guys, and you know, their feeling of an elephant for the first time, and you have each of them seeing it differently, and that's kind of what I got out of the younglings going into how they're perceiving the Force. And we get into that a bit more in episode 3, when you have other characters kind of viewing the Force as something other than an energy field that binds the galaxy together. But I like how we get to see Vernestra Rowe from the High Republic book. She shows up in this, and she's a bit different from the novels. I think a lot of time has passed here, and to me, she's a lot more businesslike. She's a lot more stoic here. She's going strictly by the book here. She does feel a bit different from her younger self in the High Republic novels, but I mean that's to be expected because she's gotten considerably older, probably seen a lot more. I love the guy who plays Master Soul. I think he's probably one of my favorite characters in the Acolytes. I find him extremely relatable, very compassionate. Um, he's got quite a bit of empathy, whereas a lot of the other Jedi tend to be, well, very prequel era Jedi like. They're very robotic. They're very stoic. That's kind of to be expected though, as well. So yeah, I really like what Lee Jung-jae does with the character of Soul. It's awesome to see Dafne Keen in Star Wars. No, I've not watched Logan yet, but I really need to go back and see that film with the audio description turned on. I had it spoiled for me like less than 24 hours after it came out. Concerning what happens at the end of it. So I was like, well, why bother? I know what happens to the main character now, so I don't know. It's not that I don't want to watch it because I've made up my mind that it's not going to be good. It's just, well, I kind of know the ending, but I guess I'll go back and watch it because I really like Dafne Keen as Jecki in this show. I haven't really gotten attached to any of the Jedi because I don't really know if any of them are going to make it out. So, yeah, not really sure what's going to happen to them. I'm kind of wondering if all of them are going to bite the dust before the end of the show here. So, just kind of leaving that up to where the story goes. But I like that you kind of get to know some of these Jedi as the show begins. So I think the only Jedi willing to give Osha the benefit of a doubt is Soul, and that makes sense because that is his former Padawan. We don't know why she left the Order as of this recording yet, but something doesn't feel right to him. He's not buying it, whereas you've got everybody else. They're not necessarily accusing her, but I think they've made up their own minds as to, yeah, well, she did it. But you have Soul wondering, I think, at this point, as to whether or not her twin sister might possibly still be alive. Something isn't sitting well with him, and I like that he's asking questions. He's not jumping to conclusions. He's not going strictly by the book. He reminds me just a little bit of Qui-Gon in that respect. Granted, you did have Yord's Padawan asking Osha, well, where were you last night? But those are very different questions. I think she'd already made up her own mind. Well, the person at the bar matches your description, so yeah, you did it. So I like the scene with the characters attempting to break free of the prison ship as they're headed to Coruscant. I think they're going to Coruscant, yeah. And Osha's just having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. They attempt to escape, and then the ship, it's gonna crash land on the frozen world of Karlak, I think, or maybe it's Korlak. My screen reader pronounces Star Wars planets in its own way. I've seen these two episodes, I think, 3 times a piece now. But yeah, you get another action scene with everybody escaping the prison transport. Osha's, of course, at the wrong place at the wrong time. She does manage to survive. Of course she does, because I mean she's one of the main characters. So when Soul decides to investigate the matter further, when he finds out that that the prison transport went down over Karlak, he asks to go, attempt to search for his former Padawan, and I like this scene because he is showing compassion for his former Padawan. I know it's not necessarily smiled upon by Jedi, but he feels like he needs to own up to his quote-unquote failure. If she has turned, he needs to go figure out what the heck's going on, and he needs to bring her in himself. And that kind of goes back to something that had happened a bit prior to Soul, Yord, and Jecki heading off to Karlak. She sees, or Jecki sees him in his quarters, and he's looking at old pictures of his Padawan, and she's like, "Why are you doing that? This encourages sentimentality, and attachment is forbidden." All that stuff that she's kind of programmed to say, stuff that she's been brought up to believe since she was an itty bitty Padawan. And he tells her, well, if you don't learn from your past, you're going to be doomed to repeat it. You're just going to keep making the same mistakes. And so he's using failure to remind him that he needs to try and be a better person. And that was a pretty interesting scene. I did like that quite a bit as he was sitting there in his quarters. I like Osha's trippy force vision. So she finally finds out that her twin sister May is still alive. She finds out that May has ended Master Endara, and she plans to end everyone else that showed up on Bryndock on that faithful day 16 years ago. And it was a really creepy scene because, you had Osha as her present day self, and then she kind of regresses back to her younger self. Just a really trippy force vision in which she finds out that her sister is still alive, and she is of course in a world of trouble because she's got to try to clear her name. In the meantime, you have Soul, who, well, I mean, I guess he's still under the impression that May is no longer alive. But, he doesn't believe that Osha is capable of ending someone's life. He knows her very well, so he's still giving her the benefit of a doubt, while everyone else is like, well, the bar keeps description, fits her, so she did it. And Soul is going with his guts, possibly. He's going with his feelings. He's trusting his feelings. So something doesn't necessarily feel right to him. And as they get to Karlak, you've got that scene with Osha seeing the shuttle. She's hiding from them, but they do eventually find her. And I like that scene where you've got Soul saving her from falling by using the Force. And I like how, when she's telling him, I didn't end Master Indara, I didn't do it. And, he of course says, yeah, I believe you, but we need to clear this up and you have to come with us. And I like how she's not opposing him. She just decides to do that. I love the ending scene because you have May meeting this mysterious masked Sith. I'm gonna go ahead and call him a Sith because he has a red lightsaber. I mean, Sith aren't the only ones who wield red lightsabers, though, so it could very well be somebody else. We don't know at this point. I don't know whether or not this is going to turn out to be Darth Tenebrous, the master of Darth Plagueis. It could be a much younger Plagueis. We really don't know who this is at the moment, because in terms of Darth Plagueis in the new timeline, we don't even know when he was born. He could be far older than he would have been in the expanded universe. We just don't know who this is. But I like that you don't find out who it is. We don't even know who it is yet. I like the little speech that this masked individual is giving May. How the Jedi live in a dream that they believe everyone else shares. But you can't kill a Jedi with a weapon. If you try to kill him with steel or laser, you're going to fail. But an acolyte kills the dream. So I like how this guy is playing the long game. He knows that battles aren't won with just a lightsaber. You have to be more crafty. You have to be more of a Phantom Menace if you want to dispatch a Jedi. This guy is in it for the long haul. And just a really chilling ending scene. I wish we could have gotten a lot more of May with her master. Maybe we will before the show ends. I think we're probably going to be focusing more on the Jedi, though. As much as I wish we could get that in this particular show, just a show steeped in the dark side, where you've got your bad guys doing interesting things. We're going to be seeing a lot of Jedi, I think, and probably not as much with May communing with her mysterious dark master here. Yeah, I think he's a Sith, possibly going to be eating my words at the end of this show. I'm not really into this show for bragging rights, though. I don't really make wild theories and speculations and all that. Don't really care about it. I'm letting the writers tell their story. I don't really know how I'm going to feel about it until the show ends. I'm kind of just along for the ride, letting them paint the picture that they want to paint, watching this without nitpicking, because I think that takes all the fun out of Star Wars. I mean, if you want to do that, that's cool. You do you. I'm going to wait until the whole thing airs before I come to my final decision. Having a pretty good time with it so far, though. It's very fast-paced. I like the action scenes. I do like the bit of dark side stuff that we've gotten. And I guess in the next video, we're going to be talking about episode 2 of The Acolyte. Glad I didn't cover both episodes in one video. So until then, may the Force be with you.